good kid. Robert Miller was the man up in the wedge. Go back and look at that field goal again.
Pat, how wide are the goalposts? You know, I looked this up today just to ask you, since you were one of the great kickers. Do you know what the distance is between them?
I don't have any idea. I know they're 10 feet high.
They're 18 feet 6 inches between them.
I
thought it was wider than that.
Oh, I don't look nearly that wide.
Not to the kicker.
No. At the 42, 43 make it. The Viking offensive unit on the field. Still the same two running backs, McClanahan and Foreman. Fumble by Foreman. I think he got it back. Let's see. Yeah. Minnesota ball.
Boy, I'm thinking sudden death, and I know I shouldn't say something like that, but a 10-3 ball game with almost 6 minutes left, I got a strange feeling we're going to be under the lights for real. So if you got somebody cooking something, you better tell them to put it on the back burner for a while, I think.
Okay. Make a quick call. Second and 11. Foreman almost lost it. McClanahan on a quick draw play. Stop. Rick Kay and Merlin Olsen on the tackle.
Except for the blitz when Tarkington beat him with the pass, Ram defense has been just about as nasty. Look at Merlin Olsen. They're going to take him to the Hall of Fame. Not a picture of him. They're going to really take Merlin out there and put him right there. He should be.
He certainly should. Look at Bud Grant. You never know what score was close, would you? It is 10-3 with 5 minutes now left. 3rd and 9. Gets away from one, fires in the direction of Ahmad Rashad. Ball bounced out of his hands. So we'll have a look at Neil Clabo.
I'll tell you, that ball was right there and thrown under duress. Tarkington will probably say something like, you know, you're only with us a few days because Rashad just came from Seattle. And Bob Lertzema went out there.
He slipped down, just got his balance back in time. And here's Neil Clabo. The figures on him. 39.6 average. Jim Bertelsen is back alone for the Rams. See if they put the pressure on, try to block this. They're coming. Fine punt by Clabo. Priest got a good block on Nate Allen. The Vikings did a heck of a job of coverage.
Roy Winston, the old LSU Bengal Tiger, was down covering on the punt.
Guy's been around that long playing on special teams. That's a real tribute to this Viking team. 10-3 Minnesota lead.
I told you General Hospital would be back. There's Rich Saul, number 61. You can't keep that guy out of that offensive center spot.
Got their work cut out for him now. Saul up over the ball. Ram ball at their own 15. Hayden back to pass.
Give the Vikings secondary an A+ because there's never been better pass protection for any quarterback than Hayden got that time. Eller's charge was 7 seconds after he goes back. Watch this. You can't draw it on a blackboard like this. He still isn't bothered. And I mean, they didn't even make penetration. That's a late rush by number 81.
Eller's effectiveness, a lot of people wondered about going in because he's playing with a broken thumb. See that big bandage he's got on there. Hayden now on 2nd down. Goes back. Good protection again. Sutherland was close to him. Jackson is in a sandwich between Autry Beeman, number 27, and Nate Wright, number 43. Watch Jackson.
I tell you, Harold Jackson runs the center pattern with as much courage as any receiver. Watch this. He's not big at about 5'10". He looks for the ball, doesn't hear any footsteps, but they're there. Good gosh.
Nate Wright did some job.
So did Beeman. Beeman, by the way, got the recovered fumble that was so important earlier, too. They're playing in that secondary.
Rams have been able to convert on 3rd down 6 out of 13 times. It's 3rd and 12 with just over 4 minutes remaining. Hayden goes back. Deep for Jesse. Got it and got the first down out of bounds in front of the Minnesota bench. Good throw by Hayden there.
Oh, and Jesse's such a great athlete. At Kansas, he did everything. He was a 13.8 high hurdler. He was a 26-foot long jumper. But I'll tell you, he can catch the football. Watch this throw, and you're right. It's there. Good play. A lot of time before he got out of bounds. Remember last week he made the big catch against the Falcons from Hayden.
First down, Rams at the 37. Exactly 4 minutes to go. 10-3 Minnesota. Now France jumped the count.
Jim Marshall, the old veteran number 70, is so quick coming off the ball that I think France just decided to try to beat him, and that time he got caught.
77 offense, false start.
Marshall might have a trick or two, too. You know, he might have moved something under his hand a little bit, which the defense is allowed to do.
I would imagine he'd learned a few in those years. 224 consecutive games at defensive end. First and 15. Still that same 4 minutes to go. McCutcheon got one hand on it, but couldn't hang on. It was behind him.
A little bit of a forced throw. Hayden was, again, not under a tremendous attack that time. Pretty good pass blocking. Just threw it a little too high and behind.
For the most part, his protection has been excellent.
You don't realize what a world that is, though, for a quarterback that's 5'11". Chuck Knox knows, and Elijah Pitts knows. But looking up, there's Ron Jaworski. But looking up at all those big people around you can be confusing when you're trying to throw to one of them.
2nd and 15. The ball at the 32 now. Last play burned 4 seconds. In the pocket with good protection again. Hayden fires for Jackson. Incomplete. Nate Wright was right with him again.
How far could Hayden have run that time had he just decided to put the ball away? He might have been able to run all the way to the Ram bench. You can see to the top there. Nobody was there.
He would certainly have been able to get a first down, don't you think? At least a 15-yard gain is what he would have needed, of course. So it'll be 3rd down. And another one of those conversions coming up. At Hayden, the quarterback. It has been all day as both James Harris and Ron Jaworski are out with injury.
This is the game here, huh?
Just about. For Jackson, out of bounds.
Big pass rush, still didn't quite get there as the Vikings brought the defensive ends inside and the defensive tackles went to the outside, but Rams handled it up front. Good coverage again. That secondary sticking with those Ram receivers in good shape.
And so Los Angeles sends in Rusty Jackson again to punt. Leonard Willis goes back deep for Minnesota. Jackson and his average. 3:45 left in the game. The Vikings lead by 7. Jackson. Hangs a pretty good one. Headed out of bounds. Bouncing in that direction. Now bounces back and rolls dead inside the 30, about the 27-yard line of Minnesota. Next week on CBS, we'll be in Los Angeles to watch the Giants take on these Rams. Rams then face Miami. That's the whole slate on the CBS lineup next week. Minnesota against Detroit. Green Bay at Cincinnati, Atlanta at Chicago, New Orleans, Kansas City. The Giants at Los Angeles, as I mentioned. St. Louis against San Diego, and San Francisco against Seattle.
You know, the Vikings have not had a turnover today. That's your fail-safe. That's how to win football games. Just don't let the other team have anything cheaply, huh?
That's what they always seem to do, is McClanahan butts straight ahead. Stopped by Dave Elmendorf. The clock is running with 3:25 left. Timeout situation shows the Rams with 2. The Vikings with 3 left.
Rams would rather not waste any with the defense if they can just force the punt and let the offense with Hayden use those as they make that last march, if there's going to be one.
Make it 2nd and 7 as the clock ticks down now close to the 3-minute mark. Foreman and McClanahan deep. McClanahan. Broke a couple. Got very close to a move. Fumble. I'm not sure if the ball was dead or not. I'm not sure. The Ram offensive unit is coming on the field. It is Los Angeles football. Let's go back and look at that one again.
Let's take a look at it. Here's McClanahan making one of the great runs you'll ever see. The extra effort may have cost him. Here's the ball now as Simpson's tearing at him. And Rod Perry comes out with the football and darn near tied it up. Foreman makes the push.
Foreman got him out of bounds, but it's Los Angeles ball at the Minnesota 11. 1st and 10 at the 11. 2 minutes and 44 seconds left. The Rams have 2 timeouts left. Minnesota has all 3 of theirs. They've been down here before and couldn't get it done. Hayden, Jackson did not get in.
Oh,
he might have gotten the first down.
Jackson put those small feet. Now, if he'd have been a big receiver like Carmichael with large feet, he would have scored. Watch this, a good throw by Hayden, a quick out to a very fast receiver. Now watch this little measurement going for the, ooh, he got a foot on the line and brushed through the flag.
Sure did. They rule it down at about the 1-foot line. The Rams break the huddle. It is 1st and goal now, inside the 1. They've been here twice before. Appoletti. Klein signals touchdown. Hayden signals touchdown. But thus far, no official has. It is going to be 2nd down.
Jeff Seaman has been meeting all of those launch jobs right on top. And Cappelletti may have gone high enough to where he tumbled over the middle linebacker and got in, but it's not there yet.
It's about a foot short. Watch this maneuver.
Now watch Seaman, number 50, going up and meeting the launcher at the very top. This time he couldn't get up to the pile.
Alan Page, who made the initial contact, so it's 2nd and goal. Don't believe he got it again. It was Cappelletti again. Wally Hilgenberg got it. He might have lost Jordan.
All right, let's take a look. Just the old immovable object. And the irresistible force right now is not so irresistible.
Hilgenberg and Seaman. So it'll be 3rd down as the 2-minute warning has been issued. And the Rams are at the door, but not in.
Trucks.
I'll be seeing you, sweetheart.
Tough Ford trucks. And Ryder tunes those trucks razor sharp, ready for anything. When Ryder rental trucks take off on a mission, there can only be one ending.
You nervous, huh, kid? Nah.
Mission accomplished. Ryder, the best truck money can rent.
Budweiser presents Beer Talk. We know a lot of people say phooey on foam in their beer. They want that glass full up to the brim, but hold it. With Budweiser, you're cheating yourself out of half the fun and flavor if you don't let it kick up a healthy head of foam. Those friendly little Beechwood Age bubbles are the brewmaster's pride and joy. And we'd sure hate to see you miss out on a single one.
With 2 timeouts left, the Rams have it 3rd and goal. Minnesota leads 10-3. 3rd down. Bertelsen and Cappelletti are the running backs, and Bertelsen gets the call. He is in this time.
I'll tell you, Hilgenberg came over the top, and that first shot, he wasn't in until that second move.
He went behind Hara and Williams.
It's really crazy, though. We're talking about the Vikings not having any turnover as I'm leading the game, and then the one time McClanahan fails to do the impossible and fumbles, the Rams came back and are going to try to tie it up. Look at this. Look at Seaman, Boom, and Hilgenberg. And now the effort by Blair. Super effort by Bertelsen.
Bertelsen got the touchdown. Dempsey will try for the tying extra point. Steve Priest is the holder. It is good. It is 10 apiece.
Dempsey knew he had to make that one. Otherwise, there's no plane back to Los Angeles.
Not for him. Score is Minnesota 10, Los Angeles 10. A minute 55 left to play in regulation.
I'm thinking about Shirley Knox, Chuck Knox's wife, back out on the coast, probably with some people over to watch her husband's team do battle. And if they got anything cooking at all, I guess they'll just throw it in the oven and let it go.
Yeah.
Right?
I hope they got some way to keep it warm. Minnesota with 3 timeouts left, a minute 55 left in regulation playing time. And of course, if we end like this, 10-10, we'll go into sudden death.
Got to be a little bit careful with your kick coverage here, particularly with the people that the Vikes have back there.
They got White and Willis deep. A lot of speed. Tom Dempsey, of course, the Ram kicker who just tied it up 10-10. Dempsey hangs it high, and Willis is going to take it at the 18. Looking to get to the outside. He's caught from behind, breaks one tackle, still on his feet. Gets outside the 30-yard line. Don't forget all that on the Sports Spectacular next Saturday at 4:30 Eastern Time. Ali and Norton, an interview with those two.
No way.
Mount Everest Expedition, the International Superbike Championship, the Beldame, the Italian Grand Prix. All that coming up for you next week on the CBS Sports Spectacular, 4:30 Eastern Time on CBS.
What do you do if you're Fran Tarkenton now? What is your game plan? You don't want to lose it.
You haven't been able to run it. You got 3 timeouts. Really a lot of time as Foreman goes in motion. Tarkenton. Fine catch by White. Sammy White had to come back.
What makes Sammy run? I'll tell you, he's made some great plays for a rookie.
That is number 8. Reception number 8.
A little bit slow, some of the Rams.
Youngblood the last to get back. First down, Minnesota. Olsen got back. He jumped for a minute. Tarkenton fires. He's got McClanahan. McClanahan's got a blocker out in front. Out of bounds at the 33-yard line.
Simpson had to make the tackle after McClanahan did get to the sideline. Let's see who makes the good block on the outside, and let's McClanahan get out there. Here's the ball now. Watch number 33. Now, who gets the block right there on the outside?
It was Ahmad Rashad, I believe. Ball at the 33-yard line. Not quite close enough for Fred Cox yet. A minute, 15 seconds to go. Clock is stopped momentarily, and here goes Tarkenton to Foreman, the draw play. Foreman falls to the 29-yard line.
Pat, we feel that Cox has to be somewhere between 40 yards and in. 35, which means that they've still got to move it about 5 or 6 yards, and they're going to try to get a lot closer than that. That's a pretty long kick, you know, with the pressure he's going to have on his shoulders.
Right now it'd be 45 yards. They took a timeout. Minnesota did. It is, let's see, they've got 2 left. One thing Cox has going for him is a fairly strong wind at his back. And that certainly would help.
Does that make you feel better? That's really what is more important, that you feel like you're being assisted, right?
Psychologically.
Or did you really need it when you were kicking? Maybe you really
did. I needed all the help I could get.
I'm trying to find Cox on the sidelines to see if he's doing anything like a chiropractor would to loosen up.
been in this situation a lot of times. Tarkenton, by the way, is 22 of 32 for 235 yards, almost without a running attack. They know that the way to move the ball has to be throwing it. He's done that well, even with those conditions. Both teams have 2 timeouts.
Hacksaw Reynolds comes back in now. He's been over talking to Ray Malavasi and the defensive people, and Catlin upstairs. And there he is, the man of the hour. I wonder if he's even breathing.
He might take a deep breath after it's over. 2nd and 5. The situation, the ball at the 28. Target. Rashad fell down again. That end of the field was not covered last night when we had a severe rainstorm. And so it's going to be slippery. Rashad goes out. Lash comes in.
Lash is a good receiver, and you could anticipate double coverage elsewhere, like with Foreman and company. And the young man from Northwestern is a very sneaky, fast, good player.
Don't forget about our old friend Stu Voigt.
Yeah, that's right, the Phantom.
A minute and 6 seconds to go on 3rd and 5, Minnesota. Scores tied at 10. Blitz is on. Monty Jackson, I believe, right with Sammy White.
What a great play, though. Watch Monty Jackson now. The young man, they say, is going to be the best cornerback. Step for step, reaches around, might have grabbed the receiver a little bit. You take what you can get when you're back there. Super effort.
Fred Cox with Paul Krause to hold. One thing you don't want to do on defense in a situation like this is be offside. You want him as far out as you can get him.
That's 35, so that's a 45-yard field goal.
Right. Krause right at the 45. 10-10 the score. No good. Sort of a knuckleball line drive by Cox, and the Rams will take over.
Artificial surface. Would he have been able to get the ball up a little better than he perhaps did on this?
Footing is very bad in that area, too. I think he probably would have been able to get the ball up on artificial turf because it sits up so much better. So Los Angeles takes over at its own 28. 57 seconds remaining on the game clock. Score tied at 10. Pat Hayden, the Ram quarterback. Capoletti and McCutcheon, the running back. Now what do you do? Got to be careful here if you're Los Angeles. That's exactly what they're going to do. McCutcheon bangs over to the right side. See if they take a timeout.
Tell you, Pat Hayden may be in his first real pressurized situation, but he's going to age a lot. He went in at 23. He may come out at about 30.
2nd and 10. The situation now with 34 seconds. The Rams apparently are going to be content to run out the clock and put us into overtime. 10-10. Hayden taking a long time. Finally gives Capoletti. Capoletti springs into the secondary. Got his first down almost. And now the official has stopped the clock. And Minnesota has called a timeout with 12 seconds left.
Capoletti might have broken that, but Doug France had no idea that the fullback would be clearing like that. Again, watch the reaction as the Vikings really over pursue, and boy, they wall it off. The Rams, here's France and Capoletti. Yeah, he draws a little bit of a crowd. Boy, here's a bright young runner, I'll tell you that. John Capoletti.
About a half yard short of a first down when this all comes to an end.
Watch him cover that ball up. He's got to get France out of the way first.
Look how big France is.
Must be nice to have him on your side, I guess, huh?
McCutcheon goes out. Bertelsen comes in. Jackson goes out on 3rd down.
Tell you one thing, we know that Jeff Seaman and those fellows are going to be coming over the top. Wonder what would happen if you just stayed real low like I would and sort of, in a very chicken way, crawled between somebody's legs.
Very short yardage, 12 seconds. Ball at the Ram 37.
316! 316!
Bertelsen got the first down and more. And now the Rams take a timeout.
And remember, you don't know what kind of range you need for Tom Dempsey. You know, it's in the archives that he can kick 163 yards. So anything inside the 50-yard line, you got a chance to throw Dempsey out there and take a wanger at a three-pointer and perhaps win it.
Certainly possible. They could get a first down, get out of bounds, and get Dempsey down close to the 40. He could reach it.
Well, the thing is, there'd be no pressure on him, absolutely, because he knows he's not going to lose the game by missing it, and you give him a free stroke at it, and Dempsey might orbit the darn thing.
Except the same thing that Cox had going for him would be against Dempsey. He'd be kicking it into the teeth of a pretty good wind. Earlier this afternoon, it was about 23 miles an hour, and it'd be tough to get it there.
Weren't they supposed to have streamers this year on top of the goalpost, or have those blown off today?
Oh, they got them.
Oh, because you told me about that new rule every game we've done.
There's Tom Dempsey.
You know what he's thinking about is a new shrimp scampi recipe. He's one of the great gourmets of our time.
Is he?
Yep.
He and Rusty Staub ought to get together. Jackson came back with a little message for Hayden. 8 seconds left on the game clock. Hayden goes back. Fires down, deep down the middle. Autry Beeman has intercepted it for Minnesota. No time left on the game clock. Beeman struggles outside of the 44, 45-yard line. He goes out of bounds, but the game has officially ended. We'll have sudden death.
Have you ever seen so many defensive players helping the guy run it back? It looked like they formed a wedge, like a kickoff, to bring him back up the field.
We'll take a 3-minute break. We'll have a toss of the coin, just like we were starting a new football game, except some of the uniforms are dirty. Comes Mick Tinglehoff and Jim Marshall out.
Well, they're two, right? They should get extra overtime pay.
Yeah. And now here comes Tom Mack and Merlin Olsen out, representing the Ram offensive and defensive units. And we'll pick up momentarily what Fred Silva has to say to these four veterans.
Well, there's Olsen, 15 years on the left. Mack, only 11 years. He's the youngest guy in the group.
We're going to flip the coin again. Visitors will call. Each team will have 2 timeouts in the overtime period. Tails, heads, tails, heads. Who's going to call? In the air, please. Tails is called. Heads is thrown. Minnesota is won. Receive. Away they are.
Minnesota has won the toss.
I had a feeling they'd take the ball.
There was a situation once before in an overtime game where the captain won the toss and did not take the ball. I don't imagine he's forgotten that.
Three months ago, this lady couldn't run around our block. This morning, 3 miles in under 24 minutes.
Bloomington, Minnesota. The Rams and the Vikings. This is Pat Summerall with Tom Brookshire. The Rams and the Vikings locked at 10-10.
I told you it was going to be a sudden
Yeah, you
death.
did. What made you think that?
I just had a feeling that both clubs are such quality clubs. One's having to run the football all the time. One's having to throw it all the time. Both defenses were great, and I just had a feeling they were about as closely matched as you could be.
San Francisco 12. The Chicago Bears still leading. Score is 19-12. That's in the fourth period. Right here, Tom Dempsey. Tees it up.
Be careful of Leonard Willis. He's the young sprinter out of Ohio State.
He's the man stretching himself in the end zone there. Number 80. Back with him, Sammy White, number 85. Tom Dempsey. With the wind at his back, will check it off from the 35. Sudden death is underway off the side of his foot. Sammy White has it at the 10. Wedge is set up on the left side. White breaks out of the pack out to the 45-yard line, and he almost broke the whole thing.
Cullen Bryant, the former defensive back and big running back for the Rams, made a sudden death overtime saving tackle.
So the Vikings will take it over at their own 46-yard line.
You imagine they've only had 39 yards rushing against the Rams all afternoon, but 239 through the air. They've really thrown well.
In the event you might have missed what Fred Silva said to the captains, each team has 2 timeouts in this overtime period. Score is 10-10. And the first person to score goes to a happy locker room. McClanahan went in motion to the right. Tarkenton looks deep. He's got White. Picked off, intercepted by the Rams. Marnie Jackson. And back up and back down as Jackson goes down at the 15-yard line. Los Angeles will take it over. First down at their own 15-yard line. Make it to 16.
Let's watch him now. He's the young man from San Diego State that I've seen scale guys like Carmichael at 6'8" and play him. Now watch where he comes from the left of your screen to make the interception. Last week he had a touchdown on one down in Atlanta, but this one might have been more important because Sammy White had it under full gear. It's a great, great play by an incredible young athlete.
That ball was well thrown by Tarkenton. It was right there. First and 10 for the Los Angeles Rams. The ball in their own 16. They got a long way to go. John Capiletti gets the carry. Gets out to about the 19 before he's wrapped up by Alan Page.
We could cheat a little bit. We could show you that play from the first period, and you'd think it's the same. They've been starting out to the right and sort of going back against that pursuit. They didn't get too much that time.
Make it 2nd and 7. Rams at their own 19-yard line. Score is tied at 10 apiece. McCutcheon gets out to about the 22 or something like that, and we bring up a 3rd down situation again for Pat Hayden.
The Rams ran 70 plays in regulation time and rushed for 217 yards and barely tied the game up.
3rd and 5 will make it. A 2-yard pickup on that last one. The Rams had a couple of chances to put more points on the scoreboard. They had 175-yard drive, 176-yard drive. McCutcheon fumbled in the end zone one time. The Vikings just held them one other time. Hayden back. Outside to Capiletti. Capiletti stepped away from Nate Wright and got first down for Los Angeles.
Capiletti has good hands, too. A good throw this time by Hayden, who sort of staggered going back to set up. And I thought maybe on that dirt infield he might have some problems. But watch him take a little off the throw and still zip it enough to get it there. And now you don't have a problem because you got sort of a runaway.
Matt Blair came over to make sure that he got out of bounds. It's 1st and 10 with the ball at the 28-yard line. 12 minutes and 45 seconds left in the overtime period. Takes to McCutcheon. Deep. Caught by Ron Jesse. Jesse gets to the 50-yard line and gets out of bounds by Matt Blair again. Official says he stepped out at the 49.
Good-looking play, Pat. Number 81, Jesse, comes in motion. Now, he'll be coming to the right of your screen, excuse me, and then he goes cutting through that zone. Now, watch Hayden pick him out. It's not an easy target for him to pick out. He did a reverse spin to find him, and now Jesse decides he's going to be a hero, and then he says, I think I'll go ahead and take my gain now.
1st and 10 Rams at the ball at their own 49. That's the final score. The Bears won their 2nd in a row, 19-12 over San Francisco. McCutcheon swings to the outside. Breaks one tackle. He's to the 40, to the 35, down to the 30-yard line. Lawrence McCutcheon.
Big Doug France must have done a great job at the left tackle. You're behind the defense now. Watch Seaman and them coming out. And somehow McCutcheon gets out clean and gets around the cornerback. Number 23 is fighting to get back the outside. I'll tell you, we told you earlier, he's a great conditioned athlete. Late, he's just as strong as early.
Ball at the Minnesota 30 with 12 minutes left in overtime. 10-10 the score. McCutcheon again. Found a little bit of running room. Sealed up by Doug Sutherland. He got inside the 30. Jeff Seaman also involved in the tackle.
Big John Williams, the offensive right tackle, played all his football at the University of Minnesota.
Sort of a homecoming for him.
I guess. Wrong team today, I'm afraid.
There's McCutcheon to the 25, and they are definitely within the range of Tom Dempsey now.
Now you're going to try to convert what? You'll try to convert the third down. It'll be third and about a half, but you don't want to be too flamboyant.
No, sir. But Hayden just took a look over at Chuck Knox to see what it is he wants to do.
Hey,
I don't think he'd throw, do you?
If he can get people to drop off, he might unload it to a safety valve, a Capoletti again, or something of that nature. But I don't think he'd come down the middle for all the tea and shine.
Both McCutcheon and Capoletti are over 100 yards gained for the second week in a row. McCutcheon gets the call and gets down to the 20. He got a first down. McCutcheon lunged.
All right, Rich Saul, right, snapping the ball. Look at Saul come out and cut off Seaman. Mack has already gone through. Capoletti seals off too. I'm telling you, that is not cute. That's not fancy. But that's how you might end up in a Super Bowl. That's what the Rams think.
Watch McCutcheon protect that football.
Here's the handoff. Fullback lead. Well, that Mack is blocking today, I'll tell you. Always does, I guess.
All an offensive line has done a heck of a job. First down. The ball now at the 18 as Capoletti gets the call. Squirms away from Eller. Maybe got one. 9 minutes and 45 seconds left in this overtime period. Score tied at 10-all. Jeff Seaman on that last tackle. James White comes in. And Eller goes out.
And Monty Jackson intercepted that big pass in this overtime that sort of turned things around and gave the ball back to Hayden and company.
McCutcheon and Capoletti behind Pat Hayden. McCutcheon gets the call, gets to the outside, almost. Alan Page ran him down. Along with Jeff Wright again. That day he's had.
Say, if he doesn't make that tackle, our sudden death is very
Settled.
sudden.
Yeah. Third down. Been a great broadcast for us, I know. Tarkenton and Bud Grant looking on. Produced by Chuck Milton. Directed today by Sandy Grossman. They do most of the work. Capoletti slipped momentarily, got down inside the 15-yard line to about the 13, where it'll be fourth down. And enter Tom Dempsey.
Look at Dempsey now. He's carrying about 260 this year, but he used to be a wrestler, and he's from Palomar JC, junior college out in California. This guy's not just a kicker. He is a fiery competitor. If he does miss this, he might go ahead and kick somebody. He wants to win. He is quite a person, quite an unusual man, and he knows it.
Steve Priest will hold it, kneeling at the 20. So it's a 30-yard field goal. Block! Nate Allen blocked Dempsey's field goal attempt.
I believe James White sort of helped Nate Allen get started a little bit, and not illegally, but got him high enough to where he made the block. Here's Dempsey now. Priest puts it down. A little bit of a high snap. I'll tell you, there were several people up there.
Nate Allen. And so Minnesota takes it over in overtime at their own 20. Flanagan goes in motion and Tarkenton goes right back. Firing deep in the direction of White. Nothing doing there. Elmendorf back with him.
How about Tarkenton, huh? Going to play it close to the vest, right?
He doesn't know what that is.
He's 22 of 34 for 239 yards. And you just can't do any more on the field for the coach, Bud Grant, than Fran's done this afternoon.
Bud Grant stomping away on the sideline. Sammy White is out. Straight ahead is Chuck Foreman. He tried to make those almost legendary cuts, and the turf is just a little bit too soft for that.
I think the Rams may have blown the stunt up front that time. It looked like Hacksaw and Reynolds and Brooks got mixed up a little bit on a maneuver on a play they had on the line of scrimmage, and it opened up that hole. I guess you're just glad when Foreman doesn't get any more than that.
Especially when he gets loose in the secondary like that. Jim Lash and Sammy White come to the left. To Foreman. First down, Minnesota. Dave Elmendorf made the tackle, but Chuck Foreman out of the backfield got the first down.
And remember, because of Yary and Riley, we haven't seen a lot of young blood and Dreyer, the two big rushing ends by the Rams. So Fran is able to dance around and pick out smaller targets, not get all the big chunks of yardage, but he is doing a masterful job of it.
Ball out to the 36. We have 6 minutes, 35 seconds left in overtime. There will be just one period. Here comes reverse. It is Sammy White, and there is Brett Dreyer, who stayed home.
Fun thing to watch, though, is Freddie Dreyer. He gets a lot of controversial press sometimes, but watch him around young kids and all. He's a great teacher. They respect him. He's a super guy, and all things aren't what they appear to be sometimes. He's a credit to this game like a lot of people are. He's a super guy. He can play, too.
So very quick. 2nd and 14. Tarkenton in the direction of Jim Lash, underthrown. Right out there with him was Rod Perry. See what Brett Dreyer was up to.
All right, Dreyer took the inside, was trying to bury the tight end. But Ali Norton.
Stu Boyd right up in his face. Boyd looked like a pretty good pass blocker that time, didn't he?
Yeah.
Might come back as a tackle sometime.
Foreman is flanked now, either to draw double coverage so they can work to the top of the screen, or
Tarkenton's going to take off. Got the first down and more. Down inside Ram territory. Stopped by Elmendorf.
Ooh, and Elmendorf wanted him bad, and Fran Tarkenton knew it. The biggest rush of the day by number 10. All right, let's take a look. Pretty good pass rush now. Rams are coming. Hacksaw Reynolds is firing from the linebacking spot. Now Fran decides to run, and watch Elmendorf now zero in on him, and Fran knows it. Look in the rearview mirror. There it comes.
See him looking around as he was running. He got the first down. The ball at the Ram 48 now. First down, Minnesota. Sudden death. McClanahan goes right straight ahead, and Merlin Olsen wraps him up.
Okay, basic play, overtime. There's 4:43 left in this sudden death. McClanahan, who has moved in to be the other back.
Olsen just straightened Ron Yary right up and overpowered him.
Still do it all, and perhaps playing at the lightest weight of his career. Imagine Merlin Olsen's about 250 and playing maybe better than him.
Certainly hasn't lost anything. 2nd and 8. Foreman circled around behind Olsen. Circled around and maybe got back to the original line of scrimmage. It's still Minnesota ball. You maybe saw the ball pop out for a minute, but they had blown it dead.
Tell you, the Rams as a defensive unit, they just chase you till something happens.
at that situation in Denver. 46-3. That's the final score over the New York Jets. A long trip back home.
Third down conversions. The Vikings have done it 7 of 18. Most important of which would be this one. The rest of them don't mean a thing now.
3rd and 9 at the 47. That time he had no place to go. He looked, ducked, jiggled.
Oh, Fran looked everywhere that time. And who got the takedown on the...
I think Youngblood. Watch it.
I remember these guys are really trying to do battle, and they want to win the game and all, but they have a pretty good chance to really hurt number 10 if they wanted to, and they don't. You get the job done. Watch Olsen grab him. Now Dreyer and Youngblood. They just sort of put him down in the bottom of the car.
Neil Clabo. Rob Scribner. First time we've seen or heard from him today is back at single safety. Clabo hangs one high. Scribner's going to handle it. He does at the 10. Popped hard by Roy Winston. He's one of the tacklers, and by Wayland Hall, the other. So the Rams take over with 2 minutes and 55 seconds left in overtime at Bloomington, Minnesota. Both teams have 2 timeouts in this overtime period.
But the Rams probably will have to do theirs on the ground, which might eat up most of that 2:55, should they be able to move it enough.
The first team to score, of course, is victorious. It'll be all over when that happens. If nobody scores, it'll stay like it is at 10-10. Hayden outside underthrown. In the direction of Jackson. 2 minutes, 52 seconds left in sudden death overtime. We're locked at 10, the Rams and the Vikings.
Now, Hayden is getting a play assist this time. They didn't flash it. They sent Bertelson in with it to tell the young man, here is what we want, and perhaps to even calm him down, saying, don't worry now, you threw a bad pass there. Don't worry about it. Let's worry about this next play.
Reverse coming to McCutcheon. Heller played it well. Heller occupied. Sutherland came over to help. Let's see who made the tackle.
Big Carl's been just worked on that play 3 or 4 times. Not embarrassed, mind you, but no way they were going to circle him that time.
Matt Blair came over to make the tackle.
Well, that Heller, how many years has he been All-Pro? Since he came out of Minnesota,
Ever since he's been playing, I think. Got 30 years of experience at defensive end for Minnesota. Between Marshall and Eller.
Might be an audible by the young quarterback.
Straight back. Hayden looking. The blitz by Marshall. Hayden is down at the 10. I don't believe he's hurt. Safety blitz by Autry Beeman.
All right, Beeman made this. The big thing is Pat Hayden hurt? Obviously, there are no other quarterbacks on that bench. Jaworski's over there with a broken shoulder, and James Harris still wasn't throwing very well, I didn't think, before the game. There he is.
Harris. The backup quarterback, I'm told, would be Rob Scribner. If anything did happen to Hayden. Rusty Jackson with his back to you, number 9, the punt. Leonard Willis deep for Minnesota.
Takes a lot of steps.
Line drive type kick in the direction of Willis. He gets away. No, he doesn't. A good play by the first man down on the coverage. That is Pat Thomas. Willis took a little chance right there.
He's got the speed, though, to take the chance. Just a good thing Thomas was right there. You give him about 10 yards of running room, and he'd be all over.
So the situation is this. Minnesota ball at their own 35-yard line. A minute and 53 seconds left in sudden death overtime. We're locked at 10. 53 seconds left in the overtime period. Viking ball at their own 35. Fran Tarkenton still the quarterback. Hand off to McClanahan, and McClanahan has a first down after the 45.
That time, Yeri did a good job on Youngblood, and there was a lot of room for McClanahan to motor inside.
Vikings line up quickly, waiting for the yard line markers to be moved. Tarkenton goes back to pass. Down the middle, Stu Boyd wide open again, breaks one tackle, gets down to the 22-yard line. The amazing Stu Boyd.
Well, you're never going to collect his gum card, and he's never going to be in the Hall of Fame. But I'll tell you one thing, he's always around, and particularly in the tighter games.
Pulled up in that zone again, and Tarkenton ripped it.
Let's take a look now. And again, the Viking offensive line appears to have really picked up the tempo in this drive right here. There's Boyd making sure no fumble. I'll tell you one thing, he isn't easy to put away either.
Oh, he isn't. Minnesota has taken one of their 2 timeouts. Tarkenton went over to the bench.
Well, that would be about a 36-yard field goal if they would stop right there and think about a Fred Cox attempt. But 2 or 3 plays later, he's still going to have one from inside, let's say 30 yards around there. And that must be what Fran is talking about, even though the breeze is right in his face.
Here comes Francis back out. A minute 25 left on the sudden death clock. Vikings have 1 timeout left now. Both teams have had chances. The Rams were down close. Nate Allen blocked a Tom Dempsey field goal from 30 yards. And that put us into overtime. Tarkenton. Outside, Rashad got it. Good catch, good throw. Monty Jackson on the coverage.
Perfectly thrown football, and Ahmad Rashad, we've told you, is a big, fast back. Good hands, always did. He just turns out from this receiving spot, and Monty Jackson just can't do anything about it. That's a very fine offensive play.
8-yard pickup. Make it 2nd and 2. The ball at the Los Angeles 23. Right now, it would be a 40-yard field goal by Fred Cox if they tried it from right there. A minute, 20 seconds left on the clock. Back is Francis. For Rashad. Jack Reynolds got back just in time.
There he is. Boy, Hacksaw must want to eat that football right now. He had a chance to really put this drive away. By the way, the blocking for Fran Tarkenton was excellent.
A minute 16.
Really good.
It has been throughout the day. Really, you talked about before, we haven't heard too much from Dreyer and Youngblood. That's a tribute to Steve Riley and Ron Yeri.
And Goodrum and Tingelhoff. And the thing they're doing is they're attacking the Rams. They're going right out on fire blocking and popping them.
3rd down. Tarkenton takes to McClanahan. He's got Foreman, and they've got a first down. Foreman out of bounds at the 11-yard line. The Vikings getting close.
All right, watch this play now. Again, Kay is a young linebacker, and number 52 followed Stu Boyd a little bit too much inside. And now Hacksaw Reynolds is responsible all the way to the outside, and Foreman just can cover too much ground for the middle linebacker.
Dave Elmendorf made the tackle. A minute and 10 seconds left on the clock now. Now the pressure goes back to the Vikings bench and to Fred Cox unless Tarkenton can score. He fires. Picked off by Rick Kay. Kay was back.
I think they should call that a touchback. If the impetus of that ball carried the Kay into the end zone, the ball should come out to the 20-yard line. But they're going to call it on the 2, and there's going to be a big argument on this.
That's what Elmendorf is talking about right now. And that's why he's arguing. Kay fell down. The officials rule the ball is dead at the 1-foot line.
The great thing about Kay was at 6'4", he sort of died in there and didn't act like he was in the right place. And he's tall. Watch him racing back to the left. Now watch this. Now suddenly he moves up. Now watch the impetus carry him in there. I think the Rams have a big, I think they have a complaint coming.
I agree with you. Here it is again.
Boy, what a big play. Boy, from Colorado, too, you know that. Very intelligent.
Well, the Rams take it over at about their own 1-foot line, 99-plus yards away. Hayden just quarterback sneaks straight ahead. A minute to go.
I guess you don't have a recourse, and we're not trying to second-guess the official completely. It just appeared that was not a difficult call to make. What recourse does the coach have?
None?
None, really. The play is the play, huh?
It's judgment. One timeout remaining for Minnesota, 2 for Los Angeles. It seems that the Rams are going to be content to just run it out and settle for a tie. They got to feel lucky. It's not really settling for a tie after that interception by Rick Kay. And again.
Could you write a script for this one? You couldn't have matched two teams better in every department. And the coaches brought them in here with, come on, this is the biggest game maybe of our whole season on the second weekend of the season. It's tough to get ready for. They did it.
Minnesota called timeout, and that's all they have. 19 seconds remaining. The Rams will be content to run it out. Pat Hayden talking with Chuck Knox. The score is 10-10. His debut hasn't really been auspicious, but it hasn't been bad.
You know.
The Vikings, however, are out of timeouts. Not a very popular choice for the Viking fans to, of course, know that they're just trying to run out the clock, and the clock continues to go with 5 seconds, 4 seconds now. 3, 2, and that's the end of it. A 10-10 tie between the Rams and the Minnesota Vikings. For Tom Brookshire, this is Pat Summerall. Now we take you back to CBS Control.
Thank you very much, Pat and Tom. Unfortunately, we have just received word out of Denver that Philip Island, who's the chairman of the board of the New York Jets, suffered a heart attack while watching the Jets lose to the Denver Broncos. At this hour, he is in critical condition at a hospital in Denver. Again, Philip Island suffered a heart attack while watching his New York Jets lose today to the Denver Broncos. Rick Forzano bought some time today. It has been revealed. Defensive back out of Grambling. Come away with a key interception on this play and run it back in. Forzano lives to coach again. 24-10 the final. Detroit over Atlanta. And of course, Chicago. Some of you watched that game. Walter Payton rushed for 148 yards today as the Bears struck to move into first place in the Central Division as a result of that tie between Minnesota and Los Angeles that you just watched. Next week, a full slate of games coming up on CBS. Don't miss the Sports Spectacular on Saturday. Muhammad Ali and Ken Norton live. For Irv Cross and Phyllis George, this is Brent Musburger saying so long from CBS Control in New York. 60 Minutes is next.
The NFL Today is a presentation of CBS Sports. This is CBS.
The pitch, a swing and a miss, strike 3.